Ever since this was announced 3 months ago, I've been confused. Why would OpenAI acquire TBPN for $200 million, which, if you're not familiar, is a podcast started by Jordy Hayes and John Coogan? I see Joe Rogan's bald head here. Let's bring that into the equation here. Joe Rogan's Spotify deal was approximately $60 to $80 million. Personally, don't watch Joe Rogan, but at the same time, I recognize the influence here. Everyone freaking knows about JRE. It's a household name. 60 to 80 million annually over a multi-year term. There's no doubt that the advertisement potential of Joe Rogan exceeds what TBPN has. I mean, they're looking at what, 3K views on average? Their highest viewed video is 374K. And so on paper, this doesn't make sense. Every month that goes by, I kind of forget because it's so unimportant that I'm like, oh, I forgot OpenAI acquired this weird company. But every time that happens, I start thinking about it a little bit more. So it starts with, I'm excited to share that we've acquired TBPN. This acquisition brings a team with strong editorial instincts, deep audience understanding, and a proven ability to convene influential voices across tech, business, and culture. And here we have a screenshot. On the left here, this is Sir Jordy Hayes. And on the right here, we have John Coogan. Now, Jordy Hayes is, I think he's 29 or 30 years old, somewhere around there. John Coogan has been around. He's about, I think he's close, pushing 40. I'm just gonna put pushing 40. And for half of the equation, it makes total sense, right? John Coogan, he was a part of some YC-backed companies. And so that makes sense, right? OpenAI is very much a YC company. Jordy Hayes, I really couldn't find much information on. Anyway, continuing with the article. TBPN has built something pretty special. It's one of the places where the conversation about AI and builders is actually happening day to day. A lot of you already watch it, doubt it, and rely on it to stay close to what's going on, doubt it. As I've been thinking about the future of how we communicate at OpenAI, one thing that's become clear is that the standard communications playbook just doesn't apply to us. We're not a typical company. I don't know what that means. We're driving a really big technological shift, and with our mission to ensure artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity, comes a responsibility to help create a space. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify this entire paragraph for you. Why use many words when we can just use one? Control. Everything about this reads, we want control over what's being communicated about our program. That's exactly what TBPN has built. So rather than trying to recreate that ourselves, bonkers, right? This is BS. We saw what their channel was like. It made a lot of sense to bring them in, support what they're doing, and help them scale, while keeping what makes them special. Now, this is a big part of the acquisition here, and a lot of people were talking about this. A core part of this is editorial independence. TBPN will continue to run their programming, choose their guests, and make their own editorial decisions. Now, I'm going to get into why this is BS. This part right here is what I like to call a red herring. They're harping on this, right? They're really focusing in on this part. We're not going to manipulate their programming. They get to do whatever they want. Sam Altman is not going to ring them up and tell them they need to say this or that. We are going to give them full control, and I believe them. I do. Now, I want you to think about all of the people that you know and that you're close to. Okay, I know this drawing is amazing, but this is you right here. And so the question is, what do your close friends and family have in common? Is proximity. Right, if you remember being in the cafeteria, going through elementary and middle school and high school, a lot of the friends you met at school were just because they were in your class, you got to talking with them, you enjoyed hanging around them, and so you kept hanging out. So proximity is a massive impact to the people that you know and the people that you love. You can view TBPN as a school lunchroom. If you look at the guests that TBPN is bringing on, let's just go down their latest uploads, right? Palantir CEO, Airbnb CEO, Gary Vee, Kevin Hart. I just realized I missed one, Jake Paul. These are the people they're bringing on, right? The celebrities, the non-even AI adjacent people, the investors, the big people. What you're seeing here is in real time, we're seeing a safe space, AKA a lunchroom. And so while it's true, TBPN will continue to run their programming, yada yada, the thing that OpenAI has direct control over is this part here. You can view this guy right here as OpenAI. And Mr. Peter here, this is the celebrity, the investor, the CEO, yada yada. Every time they bring on one of these guests, what they are doing is they are giving the OpenAI samples. Every time a guest comes on, you've got Gary Vee hiding in the closet, jumping out with his free samples, AKA his OpenAI shilling. And so what you end up with is people who really end up getting their perceptions shifted. And this isn't even the viewer, right? I'll add that note here. This does not impact the viewer. This is for the people on the show. They don't care about you. They care about the Jake Paul. They care about the Kevin Hart. Why? Because when Kevin Hart goes to this event and he gets schmoozed, I don't know if that's a word, but basically this word is going to be used to describe somebody who's been dolled up. Kevin Hart's been schmoozed. Guess what? All of his jokes are now about Anthropic. Actually, no, usually more than likely he's going to make them about OpenAI because that gives them better publicity. A better example might be Jake Paul. right? When Jake Paul's hosting his fighting event, whatever the hell that's going to be, he's thinking about who to get sponsors from. Guess what? He already knows Sam Altman, because Sam Altman knows everyone here. So every guest that comes onto TBPN takes a sample of the OpenAI free samples, feeds into the things that they know and they love. Now, if you think I'm crazy on this, just look around. You don't have to go very far to find people who have been completely transformed just by the good graces of a company. Fly somebody out one time and all of a sudden they are your biggest fan. And so in the lunchroom, when you had a buddy that you just happened to sit next to, and maybe they gave you your chicken nuggets or something, these small gestures, even though they're not directly selling you on something, over time, it translates to being schmoozed and having it impact your perception of the company. That begs the question, why buy it for $200 million? Is it really worth $200 million to OpenAI? The answer is yes. I'm sure we're all familiar with the term, the rich get richer. It is impossible for TBPN to fail. They're guaranteed to get guests like Jake Paul, Kevin Hart, every celebrity you can think of, because it's a safe space. They have plenty of money to throw at these guests. And on top of that, they know, based on the host, they're not going to get any hardball questions. This is the opposite of Mr. like Dwarkish Patel, where it's like you go on this guy's podcast, you don't know if he's going to come at you with the craziest left ball swing. You don't have to worry about that with TBPN. While the upfront cost doesn't make sense, right? TBPN is probably 1,000th of the popularity of Joe Rogan, yet it's being purchased for more than Joe Rogan was. At face value, it doesn't make any sense at all. But when you look at the realities of it being impossible to fail with this culmination, and you realize the impact OpenAI can have on celebrities and everyone involved, you realize that this translates to way more in PR. Even if TBPN sucks ass, I think the hosts are actually probably pretty cool guys and probably entertaining, but come on. We can look at this with a brain and see that there isn't any correlation of their viewer count and popularity to the amount of money that they are getting from this deal. And let's get a third person perspective, right? This is a tweet from Anthony Pompliano. OpenAI acquires TBPN for 100 million plus, but most people are drawing the wrong conclusion. Usually when somebody says this, they're actually about to go into something that everyone's already been saying, but let's continue. OpenAI doesn't care about TBPN as a business or a show. Agreed. They immediately shut down all ads and are going full editorial independence to John and Jordy. That is a big win for DBPN and the team, but more importantly, it is a signal for what OpenAI was actually after. They wanted to acquire the hosts, okay? They understand how to win the vibe war while making everyone love them, okay? Luxury positioning with down-to-earth approachability. Those who have never built a media company won't understand how difficult it is to pull this off. But John, Jordy, Dylan, and others executed this strategy perfectly. Really? Do these tell you the numbers of somebody who's executed the strategy perfectly? So OpenAI is not buying a show. They're not paying a multiple on revenue. And they definitely are not planning to use TBPN to run some PSYOP campaign. OpenAI just pulled off one of the best talent acquisitions in a long time. They figured out how to hire generational talent to beef up their marketing and comms effort. The money, blah, 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 blah. OpenAI wanted the people, blah, 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 blah. Wrong. They care about the platform. People are part of it, right? The co-hosts are... There's certainly some aspect to it that's the people, right? I know Coogan has been friends with Sam Altman probably since 10 years ago. So there is some element of people, and I'm just realizing this guy has no socks on, cannot do that. Anyway, he's not looking at the whole picture here. This is deeper than the people. This is a safe space. This is a lunchroom. And if you want the worst statement I've ever seen on the internet, people are saying TBPN is like the sports center for LinkedIn. This is an actual quote. You can find this online. This sounds like actual living hell. But this is the kind of idea they're trying to feed you, right? Sam Altman doesn't want you to see what I just told you, that this is a lunchroom and we're just gonna use this as a way to finesse our audience, as a way to manipulate our interviewees. We want you to look at this. We want you to see this as a network. That's something that we actually care about, because totally TBPN is such a master of marketing, such an absolute masterclass we have here. They've been at it for a year and they have the craziest guests of all time, and yet still somehow they've only amassed 125K subs after 2,000 videos. So I don't see it as much other than that. And so this is ruled out. And the other argument might be, hey, maybe it's just Y Combinator dork, right? You jerk me off, I jerk you off, that kind of a thing. This is certainly part of it. I don't think this would have happened if they weren't friends, certainly, because there's risks involved. But you know, this guy has a good track history. This guy seems to have a good track history. Two guys with a good track history. Of course, if you're friends with them, that really sweetens the deal. And so this is part of it, but I really do believe it more comes from this side here. Some of this is evil. At the same time, it's also smart. The only thing that rubs me the wrong way is when they're trying to make it seem like it's something that it's not. I've seen these articles going into the TV-like leveling up. Whatever their inspiration, former Silicon Valley founders John Coogan and Jordan Hayes have effectively melded their tech bro backgrounds with their deep LA video production roots to create one of today's fastest growing digital series, TBPN. This is the fastest growing thing on the internet. So when I see articles like that are just completely misleading and misguided, it annoys me a little bit. I get what they're doing and it's smart and I don't blame them for it. I think it's a really good strategy. Other people have done this before. You know, you have Jeff Bezos purchased Washington Post, Elon Musk purchased X. Although in my opinion, these are way different. In these two cases, it's more of a mouthpiece thing, right? They get a mouthpiece out of it where Jeff Bezos can pretty much say whatever he wants and, you know, decide what goes into the news. And then Elon Musk, I don't really see him as using it as a mouthpiece other than he just doesn't want somebody to stifle his communication. But this is different, right? This is not the same as this. This is a bigger, deeper play that'll take years and years to realize. The day will come where freaking Epstein, or sorry, not every celebrity you can think of is on the freaking show, right? You're gonna get Donald Trump on there. You're gonna get Jessica Alba on there, Shakira, right? You're gonna get all these celebrities into this lunchroom. They're gonna walk out with some perception because Sam Altman gave them some OpenAI cookies, which they ate up, and now it completely changed their perception. And guess what? They walked out with some investments into YC Combinator companies, right? This is just gonna be a byproduct. And even if you go back, right, you can go back to TBPN's origins, right? 2024, this is before anyone knew they even existed. Look at the sponsors that they used to have. Ramp, Figma, Polymarket, right? These were massive companies that were supporting them before they even had an audience. They were the Nepo baby beyond Nepo baby. Every time I think about this acquisition, I'm confused. And now I kind of see it. I see where they're going with this. Nobody wants this to succeed. I think it's an evil proposition. And I'm on team OpenAI. Don't get me wrong. I prefer OpenAI over Anthropic, over any of these other companies. And although I see their vision, it feels wrong. It feels dirty. If you already knew about this, man, I'm slow. I'm a smooth-brained human. So I'm uncovering this like it's a freaking science experiment. Every time I am reminded of this deal, I get a little bit icky inside. There's something about it I just don't like.